Hello and welcome to NewPod. Isaac has grown old. His eyesight is failing, and a blessing meant for Esau will soon be received by Jacob. What should have been a passing down becomes a breaking point. One son will leave blessed, while the other will cry out and weep. Welcome to a story where desire, fear, and promise run through one family. Their choices reveal their hopes and their relationship with God. The story hides neither deception, favoritism, nor pain. It confronts us with a blessing gained by troubling means.
We are not simply going to recount an ancient event. This story sheds light on an experience that is still familiar today. A family wants to pass something on. Two brothers stand in opposing places, and each one acts within a tension he cannot fully control. The story speaks to our expectations, our fear of losing our place, and the ways we protect what seems promised to us. First, we will tell the story. Only then will we reflect on what the text reveals.
First, let us set the scene. Isaac is Abraham's son. Rebekah is his wife. Their sons, Esau and Jacob, are twins. Esau is the older one. Before they were born, the Lord told Rebekah that the older would serve the younger. Those words quietly accompany their story. Yet they do not make every human decision right. The text holds together the promise God announced and the responsibility of the people who act.
And another event has already widened the gap between them. Esau gave his birthright to Jacob in exchange for a meal. So the rivalry does not begin here. But in Genesis 27, it enters Isaac's home and reaches the moment of the father's blessing. In Esau's mind, the birthright and the blessing are connected, though they are not exactly the same. This time, it is no longer an exchange between brothers. Isaac and Rebekah also become part of the conflict.
Isaac calls Esau. He says that he is old and does not know when he will die. He asks Esau to take his weapons, go hunting, and prepare the food he loves. Then Isaac wants to bless him before he dies. So the scene begins with a father's sense of urgency. Isaac wants to speak before it is too late. His plan seems to concern Esau alone. Rebekah is not invited to take part in this passing down, but she listens.
The request is personal. The father connects the blessing with a meal prepared by his son. Esau goes out to the fields. He hopes to bring back some game. But Rebekah heard what Isaac said to Esau. As soon as he leaves, she has a chance to intervene. The reader knows what Esau does not. While he carries out his father's request, another plan begins to take shape inside the house.
Rebekah immediately calls Jacob. She tells him about Isaac's plan. Then she gives him precise instructions. Jacob must go to the flock and bring back 2 young goats. She will prepare the food Isaac loves herself. Her words leave little room for hesitation. She tells Jacob to listen and act. Time is short, because everything must be ready before Esau returns.
Her goal is clear. Jacob will bring the dish to his father. Isaac will eat, and then he will bless Jacob before he dies. Rebekah does not simply wait. She steps in directly to steer the blessing toward her younger son. Perhaps she remembers the words spoken before the brothers were born. Yet the story does not give that reason here. It records her choice, her urgency, and the means she uses.
Jacob immediately sees the obstacle. Esau is hairy while his own skin is smooth. His father might touch him. Jacob fears that he will appear to be a deceiver. He worries that he will bring a curse on himself instead of a blessing. He understands the risk in very concrete terms. His body could betray him. The blessing he seeks could turn against him at the very moment Isaac discovers the switch.
Wait, this is essential. Jacob does not reject the plan because it is wrong. His first concern is the risk of being discovered and cursed. The text leaves us with that discomfort. It does not simplify either his fear or his involvement. We can feel uneasy without adding a confession that Jacob never makes. His objection is about the possible consequences. Then, when Rebekah answers, he goes along with the plan.
Rebekah answers firmly. She takes any possible curse upon herself. She only asks Jacob to listen to her and go get the young goats. Jacob obeys. He brings them to her, and his mother prepares the food Isaac enjoys. The decision has now been made. Rebekah accepts the danger in words. Jacob carries out the necessary actions. The story moves quickly, as if every step further reduces the chance of turning back.
Then comes the disguise. Rebekah takes Esau's finest clothes, which are in the house. She puts them on Jacob. She covers his hands and the smooth part of his neck with the goatskins. Jacob will not simply bring another man's meal. He goes before his father wearing the physical signs of his brother. The clothes, the smell, and the touch must replace what his voice cannot hide.
Finally, she places the food and the bread she prepared in Jacob's hands. Everything is ready. The dish looks like the one Isaac expects. The clothes carry Esau's scent. The skins are meant to deceive the touch of a father whose eyes can no longer see clearly. The contrast is striking. Isaac wants to pass on the blessing through words, but he must identify his son through his senses. And every clue has been arranged to guide his judgment.
Jacob goes into Isaac and says, "My father." Isaac answers, "Here I am." Then he asks who is there. From that moment, the story slows down. Every word could expose Jacob. Every gesture could ruin the plan. Their closeness makes the scene even more tense. This is not a deception carried out from a distance. Jacob must maintain his borrowed identity before the man who knows his voice and wants to bless him.
Jacob claims that he is Esau, the firstborn. He says he has done what his father asked. He invites him to sit up, eat the game, and then bless him. The lie is not kept in the shadows. Jacob speaks it directly to Isaac. In this way, he claims his brother's place, name, and status as firstborn. Everything leads toward the father's words. The meal is only the doorway to what he wants to receive.
Isaac is surprised that the hunt ended so quickly. Jacob replies that the Lord, his father's God, brought the game to him. Those words add spiritual tension to the lie. God's name is invoked to support a fabricated story. The text softens nothing. God's promise moves forward in this family. Yet Jacob uses the divine name here to make a deceptive act sound believable. That contradiction remains unresolved.
Isaac asks his son to come closer. He wants to touch him and find out whether he really is Esau. Jacob approaches. Isaac feels him. Then he speaks the decisive contrast. The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are Esau's hands. The truth is almost recognized. Isaac hears correctly, but in the end, he gives more weight to what he touches. His words hold suspicion and appearance together without resolving the conflict between them.
That short sentence captures all the uneasiness of the scene. Isaac recognizes a voice, but the hair-covered hands deceive him. He does not recognize Jacob and prepares to bless him. Yet he asks again, "Are you really my son Esau?" So his doubt has not completely disappeared. One final word could break the whole deception. Jacob gives the expected answer once more, and the meal can begin.
Jacob answers that he is. Isaac eats the game. He also drinks the wine Jacob brings him. Then he asks his son to come near and kiss him. Jacob approaches and kisses his father. This gesture of closeness also becomes a test of recognition. Isaac cannot see the face before him. What he notices most are the clothes of the son he thinks he is welcoming.
Isaac then smells Esau's clothes. Their scent finally convinces him. He blesses Jacob. He speaks of the smell of a field blessed by the Lord, then of heaven's dew, the richness of the earth, grain, and wine. His words widen in scope. They begin with a familiar scent and open toward a fruitful future. Isaac still does not know that he is speaking to Jacob, yet the words are spoken and received.
The blessing also concerns nations and family. Isaac announces authority for the one he believes is Esau. He calls others to bow down before him. Finally, he pronounces a curse on those who curse him and a blessing on those who bless him. These words reach far beyond one successful day. They concern Jacob's place among his own people and his relationship with the nations. So the blessing he receives has a family, material, and collective dimension.
This is the turning point. Jacob receives the words Isaac intended for Esau. This is not merely a material advantage. The blessing places its recipient within a family legacy and a future larger than himself. Jacob risked being cursed. He leaves blessed. But that reversal does not erase the deception the brother pushed aside, or the consequences awaiting the entire household.
Jacob has barely left his father when Esau returns from the hunt. He also prepares a meal. He also brings it to Isaac. He asks his father to sit up, eat his game, and bless him. The similarity between their actions makes the scene painful. Esau faithfully carries out what he was asked to do. He still does not know that the words he expected have just been given to his brother.
Isaac asks who he is. Esau answers that he is his son, his firstborn. Then Isaac begins to tremble violently. He understands that someone else brought him game and received his blessing. And he declares that this other person will remain blessed. The deceived father does not simply take back his words. What has been spoken keeps its force. That permanence brings the conflict into the open after the disguise had briefly concealed it.
Esau hears these words. He lets out a loud and bitter cry. He begs his father to bless him too. Isaac answers that his brother came deceitfully and took his blessing. The story makes us hear the pain of the one who arrives after the decisive moment. It does not treat his tears as a minor detail. Jacob's joy is not even described. It is Esau's cry that now fills the scene.
Esau connects this loss with the loss of his birthright. He asks whether no blessing remains for him. Isaac recalls what he has just granted Jacob. Esau pleads again. Then he raises his voice and weeps.
Isaac finally answers. He tells Esau that he will live away from the richness of the earth and the dew of heaven. He will live by his sword and serve his brother. But he will be able to throw his brother's yoke off his neck.
The immediate consequence is terrible. Esau hates Jacob because of the blessing. He tells himself that after the days of mourning for his father, he will kill his brother. So the blessing Jacob received does not bring him immediate peace. It sends him into exile.
Esau's words are reported to Rebekah. She calls Jacob. She warns him about the plan for revenge. She tells him to leave for the home of her brother Laban in Haran and stay there for a while until Esau's fury subsides.
Rebekah hopes that Esau will forget what was done to him. Then she will send for Jacob. But she also voices a fear, losing both her sons in a single day. The family conflict now has a price. The household scatters.
Now let us move from the story to reflection. The text does not present flawless characters. Isaac favors Esau. Rebekah favors Jacob. Jacob deceives. Esau plans murder. The desire for blessing runs through wounded relationships and morally complicated choices.
Exactly. A simplistic reading would make one person the hero and another the obstacle. Genesis 27 resists that division. Jacob gets what he wanted, but he leaves his home. Esau is wronged, but his hatred then threatens his brother's life.
On a human level, fear guides several actions. Isaac fears that his end is near. Jacob fears being discovered. Rebekah fears losing her sons. Esau responds to loss with bitterness and violence. Each one acts from a place where desire and vulnerability are intertwined.
On a spiritual level, however, the promise still moves forward. Not because deception becomes right. Not because Esau's pain does not matter. It advances among fragile human beings. God's faithfulness does not depend on their perfection.
In the biblical story, Jacob takes his place in the line of the patriarchs. The words spoken before his birth reach a decisive stage here. But his story is not over. The one who receives the blessing must still leave, face hardship, and be transformed.
This story also sheds light on waiting, jealousy, reconciliation, and legacy. It invites us to recognize situations where the desire to gain a place damages a relationship. It calls us to name what needs truth and change, without hiding wounds beneath pious words.
One simple step can begin this week. Read Genesis 27, verses 1 through 45 on your own. Notice the fears that drive each character. Then choose to offer an honest word, a listening ear, or a first step toward healing a relationship marked by rivalry.
The central idea remains. Amid human decisions, weakness, and upheaval, a larger story continues to unfold. Jacob receives the blessing, yet he must leave. What follows will show how the promise also accompanies the one who sets out on the road.
Let us close with this prayer. Lord, open our minds to your word. Through the story of Jacob receiving the blessing, help us recognize our own struggles, answer your call, and move forward with greater truth, trust, and faithfulness. Amen.
May each of us hold on to the part of this story that speaks most directly to what we are living today. In the next episode, we will continue Jacob's journey. We will find him far from home, moving into the next chapter of the Patriarchs' story.